a running commentary. My ears are delighted that I'm getting to take these off. Yay! I'm finding this very, very odd that we're in Edinburgh in August and there are massive gaps on the pavement with nobody in them. Usually you'd be like sidestepping and dodging and duking and round all these tourists, and it is empty basically. Very, very weird. Very weird. And yet the buskers are still going and pigeons are still going about. Hungrier, I imagine, than last year. Oh, pigeon. Oh. Hungry pigeon. It's a lesbian pride flag.
Okay, thank you. Oh, she's all in black and it won't focus.
I say.
Yes, thank you. Hello. Sorry to interrupt. Excuse my ignorance, sorry, I've just never seen that flag before. What's that? What's that mean?
Lesbian pride flag.
Right, okay. I've never seen it before. Should probably know that.
It doesn't get a huge amount of coverage.
No, I was kind of thinking.
It was around a lot in the 1980s, but I'm guessing you weren't.
Towards the end only. Yeah. No, it's just we're just satisfying our curiosity. To be honest, that was the whole thing. But nice to chat to you anyway. We'll leave you to it.
That's cool. Thanks. People think it's
just for the labyrinth.
POV.
Still maintaining that the bill says what it doesn't. We were all able to read them and we can see that likely to is not a robust definition. It's incredibly vague and it is very, very troubling. So I'm going to hand over now to Eric, who is going to talk about what happened at the original speech recorded. A lot of this picked up from the people know about the new events that are going on now. So I shall pass you over. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Venice, Allan, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here today to represent Standing for Women. And with all of you wonderful women of ForWomen.scot, I'm absolutely over the moon. I think this will become an important day, the day that we came here to revive the tradition of free speech at this historic Speaker's Corner. Free speech that is so badly needed here and now, where even our I Heart J.K. Rowling poster is too political and offensive to be seen. Like so many, I've been banned for life from Twitter, a platform that welcomes paedophiles, misogynists and racists, but will exile you for calling an adult human male a man. Meghan Murphy was deleted for saying, yes, that's him. And I wasn't even given a reason why I had to be excluded from the worldwide platform for debate, networking and information. As long as the digital public square is owned and moderated by men, women will not have free speech. ago, on September the 13th, 2017, a group of us met at Speaker's Corner in London. We weren't even there to speak, just to pass on the details of the secret venue where we could go to discuss the proposed reform of the Gender Recognition Act. At Speaker's Corner, we were met by trans activists who didn't want to come to our meeting, they just wanted to stop it. As they chanted, "No TERFs on our turf," and held no debate signs without irony, one of our attendees, Maria McLaughlin, was physically attacked by 3 men, and her camera was smashed to the ground. One of her perpetrators was later convicted, but even though he showed no remorse for his assault and had previously announced his intention to F up some TERFs that day, he was only given a small fine, and his victim, a 5'4", 60-year-old humanist celebrant and cat rescuer, was denied any compensation because she was unable to refer to her assailant in court as a female. Female means of the sex that can bear offspring and produce eggs. It's not a feeling or a costume or a mental health diagnosis. A woman is an adult human female, and we need to keep saying this out loud and protect it in law before it becomes to mean a choice of toys, clothes, and the stereotypes of subordination. Female does not mean feminine, but it soon will if we don't stand up and protect it. Standing for Women are calling for women all around the world to stand up and speak the truth. We are meeting once a month at Speaker's Corner in London. We'll be there on the bank holiday Sunday, 30th of August, and again on September the 13th, 3 years exactly from our first meeting, and 1 year on from the death of one of our most inspiring speakers, Magdalen Berns. Britain is one of the best places in the world to be a woman, and we are not going to give up our rights, our safety, our privacy, or our freedom. We are going to use our freedom of speech, and we are going to take back the public square one corner at a time. Thank you.
So women who object to this, they have to be shamed, they have to be pilloried, they have to be exiled from polite liberal society, they have to be kicked out of their jobs, preferably left penniless in an ideal world. I've tried to hold on to what was happening. Now, I worked hard for a well-known book packager. I'm a writer, I'm a children's writer, and I work for that professionalism and loyalty. If I'm ever in trouble, that's going to be repaid by my employers. I just know it. They'll never let me down. What was I even thinking? Now, I've got some history of gender criticism on social media, but it was after what happened to Rachel Rooney, who many of you will be familiar with, and to J.K. Rowling. And J.K. Rowling, the abuse and the betrayal of people who should have been so loyal to her, I was too angry to stay silent anymore, because I had been warned off before. So I posted the hashtag on my professional Twitter account, I stand with J.K. Rowling. That's not how it was received. The trolls took a while to find it, but find it they did, like sharks find blood in the water. 24 hours of violent, sexualised, mostly anonymous abuse later, my publishers came to it, and I was fired. No question, no consultation, I was out. The voices of a mob of faceless, nameless trolls outweighed the years of work, skill and effort I've given to both companies. So do I still think women's position is safe? Do I still think we're heard, respected, treated as equals? Oh no. Do I call myself a feminist today? Hell yes.
Lecturer at the University of Edinburgh, and I'm also a materialist feminist. What that means is that I'm on the political left, and I understand that women are oppressed on the basis of biological sex and protected under the law on that basis. Now, I'm very well accustomed to robust debate, both as a political activist and as an academic. I'm very used to the cut and thrust of evidence and counter-evidence, of good faith rebuttals, and the minute, careful construction, of arguments. But what was new to me when I got involved in the current dispute, which in my own case was only about 18 months ago, sorry about that, I was a late entrant. When I got involved in the current dispute over women's rights, the thing that really perplexed me was this insistence that there should be no debate. The insistence that women have to accept without question a new world order in which we're told that biological sex is no longer significant when we know that it is. The insistence that women's rights should be redesigned and repackaged based not on biological sex, but on a person's inner sense of maleness or femaleness, a sense which I don't have, but which we're supposed to accept should always trump biological sex in law and in policy. The insistence that anyone objecting to this new order, or even asking questions about its possible consequences for women and girls, is motivated by hatred and by transphobic bigotry. The insistence that rational discussion should give way to the endless repetition, and very loud repetition sometimes, of slogans. So I was shocked when I was attacked within my trade union, which is UCU, the College Lecturers Union, and in my academic work, simply for calling for respectful, evidence-based dialogue on women's sex-based rights. And what Maggie reported about being told she was making spaces dangerous for people, those same allegations were levelled, of course, at me. And I've watched in dismay as the intolerant, dogmatic insistence on no debate has taken centre stage in the Labour Party, culminating in the disastrous Labour campaign for Trans Rights Pledge, signed by most of the leadership contenders earlier this year. That called for materialist feminists like me, and that included women with decades of loyal Labour Party activism under their belts, to be expelled from the party. I'm on the working group of the Labour Women's Declaration, and our message to the Labourship is clear: defend us or expel us. Because I don't accept this no debate regime. It has no place in universities or on the political left, which are the very places where we have to be able to critically examine fashionable orthodoxies, no matter how progressive they may appear to be. Right now, it's never been more obvious to me how much we need freedom of speech and freedom of assembly and freedom to criticise and dissent. It's never been more obvious to me how much we need recourse to objective reality and robust evidence to challenge the misinformation and the disinformation that our world is drowning in. So I'm one of countless women who've been targeted for expressing the view that biological sex remains politically relevant. We're not backing down. Because it's women's rights at stake here. I'm sick of reading in the press that this is a fight over trans rights, as though it's nothing to do with us. That's wrong, and we need to say so. If it's a fight over anything, it's a fight over women's rights, over who should hold them and on what basis. It's a fight to prevent the erasure of women as a sex class. It's our fight, and we will be heard. Thank you.
Crime of telling a person who has never been to a gender clinic, who has never taken a hormone, who has had not a bit of surgery, and whose entire transition consists of changing their public social media name, and putting on a dress and a bit of lipstick. But you're not a woman, you're a man. Do you want to be charging women for saying things like that? Do we want women dragged into court and told that if they don't just concede to these charges, then they're going to be mocked in the public square and their employer's going to sack them, like we've heard has happened? That's not an acceptable Scotland to me, and I'm sure it's not an acceptable Scotland to most people. So please, do not be complacent. Take up arms and fight now.
Can't hear me. Hang on, try here. Is that better? Better, good. Here we are again. Not going away. Not shutting up. Not hating anyone, which I really recommend as a way to go about things. So about a year ago today, almost exactly to today, Kath Murray, Lisa Mackenzie and I published an article. It was called Losing Sight of Women's Rights. So you'll get the gist of the argument from the title. We published it in a journal called Scottish Affairs, very well-respected journal. And we had a great response to it. It got thousands of downloads, very unusual for an academic article. The feedback that the three of us got direct to us was overwhelmingly positive, from academics and from others, from readers who we really wanted to reach outside academia. Until now, we haven't, however, talked about what happened behind the scenes of getting that article out. So, and that we've now done, and I'll come back to why we've done that now in a minute. But what happened out of sight of everyone else but us and the journal was that a member of staff within the Edinburgh University Press, which is the organisation which publishes Scottish Affairs, quite unprecedented as far as we know, tried to stop our article being published. They tried to prevent it getting out. They made accusations about us of transphobia. We are not transphobic. They compared us and our work and our motives. Somebody mentioned motives earlier. They went after our motives. They compared us to anti-Semites and Islamophobes. It was shocking. It was wrong. Now, I won't go into the detail of what happened on the back of that. Our article was published, as you know. But behind the scenes, the journal, Edinburgh University Press, behaved brilliantly. We hear a lot about the people who behave badly. I would like a round of applause for the journal Scottish Affairs, which stood up to this stuff. Praise the people who do that. We really need to. However, the Edinburgh University Press didn't behave quite so well. I'll let you read about that. It's in the Sunday Times. It's also in our submission to the Justice Committee on the Hate Crime Bill. So the journal is out. I want to say also that it was a really distressing, shocking experience as an academic to find our work treated like this. And it was hugely good and much easier to deal with because I had Kath Murray and Lisa Mackenzie, the three of us were dealing with it together. I don't know how much harder it would have been for someone who was writing solo. Much harder, even with the journal's support. So the journal's article is out. The reason we have come out with this story now is we think we are a clear example of what the problems are with the hate crime bill now in front of the Scottish Parliament. I'll speak up a bit. So, why we think it matters is if the person who had originally tried to stop our article coming out had been able to do more than just throw around a casual, I should have said, the reason we were transphobic, the only example they were able to give was our definition, our decision to use the word woman as a shorthand for people born female. That was it. That was the only example. So we think now that same person will almost certainly start invoking the stirring up provisions in the hate crime bill. And we're looking at provision with criminal sentencing, criminal records, prison sentences, fines. The stakes would have been so much higher had the current legislation been in place at the time all this happened last year. And we think it's really important that stories like ours are told. Yes, we got to speak. Yes, it came out, but only because of the real solid dedication of Scottish Affairs as a journal to stand up to what the pressure that emerged. So that's why I'm here today. I want to add all of the people in front of you have had personal stories to tell. We're not generalising. We're not making up vague this could happen stories. We're all talking from our own direct experience, and I think that's important to take on board. So I'm going to stop now. Thank you for listening and hand over.
As Lucy said, it's great to see so many familiar faces. Here we still are, still fighting. My name's Victoria Whitworth. I'm a writer and an academic. But today I'm here to channel our great-grandmothers. Last week, Nadia Whittome MP, who has snatched the title of Baby of the House from Mary Black, said that, quote, "The very act of debate is a rollback of equality. And we must not fetishize debate as though debate is itself an innocuous, neutral act. We must not fetishize debate." Let's just live with that for a moment. She said, "Creating a debate about people's fundamental rights or equal status is a hostile act." Let's swap out people for women. Creating a debate about women's fundamental rights or equal status is a hostile act. Sound familiar? How the hell did we get here? How the hell? And you know what? We've been here before. In spring 1914, many British art galleries and museums were closed. The National Gallery, Tate, Hampton Court, Windsor Castle, the Tower of London. Why? Not because of a virus, because of women. Women who were desperate for debate. Because on the 10th of March 1914, a suffragette called Mary Richardson had gone into the National Gallery in London with a meat cleaver hidden up her sleeve and hacked away at its shiny new purchase of Velázquez's Rokeby Venus. She was sick to death of men valuing women as sexy nudes, but not as human beings. By 1914, women had become very, very angry. Before we ever won the vote, we had to win the right to debate. We started with petitions. 40, 50, 60 years of petitions. And we got nowhere. Then at a public meeting, Annie Kenney and Christabel Pankhurst shouted something at Winston Churchill. They shouted, "Will the Liberal government give votes to women?" They were thrown out, arrested, and imprisoned. And then women were banned from attending public meetings. So they sneaked into the building the day before or 2 days before, and they hid in their corsets under the platform, with no food, in the rafters, with no loo, out on the roof for a long winter's night, just to get the chance to debate. The first time Emmeline Pankhurst went to prison, it was for trying to enter Parliament to deliver a petition. The second time, it was for issuing a handbill. She was sentenced to 3 months and forbidden to speak to other prisoners, one of whom was her daughter Christabel. She insisted on speaking and was put in solitary confinement. Fetishized debate? Women know where no debate takes us. Damn right we'll fetishize debate. We know what it's worth.
Good afternoon. Right, we're going to turn the live streaming off shortly. so that women can actually take to the stand and actually kind of speak freely without kind of worrying about actually being filmed. So, yeah, so if you want to form an orderly line to my left-hand side, yeah, please do so. Also, if you look to our left-hand side, you'll see our I Love J.K. Rowling kind of posters, if you like Genius Venice.
Take a selfie, put it on Twitter.
Yeah. I heart J.K. Rowling, I love J.K. Rowling. The heart doesn't work actually in hashtags, who knew? Yeah. So after, we're going to see how many people, we can't be here for too much longer because this is Speaker's Corner and maybe other people might actually want to speak about other subject matters. Don't think so. But yeah, so we're going to move shortly to going to turn the cameras off. And if you just give us a couple of minutes just to reset. No. Sorry. Just so for protection from other people.
Because she said so. I'll film you.
Marion said so.
Right, so I have to accept that, yeah?
You can speak.
I'm a woman, but I can't speak on your live stream.
No, there's two. We've got various live streams going on at the moment in time. So
but I'm not allowed to speak on it.
You're speaking on it right now.
But you're not allowed to hear what I have to say on it.
Why don't you be quiet?
Well, let me on, I'll show you.
Go ahead.
Live stream me. Right, hi, I'm Scottish, and that's what it takes to hear, get your hair felt, your bloody voice heard in your own country today, okay? Right, now that's what's the mood I wanted to come in, by the way, on, right? First of all, I'm going to tell you, I'm Angela Leach, and on Twitter you'll find me Rotten Rosa. I'm an independence activist, okay? I have children. I have a 13-year-old, twins at 21, and a 23-year-old who has autism, okay? So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me, right? And I've got a warning for you. If you have a child who comes in and says, Mum, I think I want to be a boy, do not go and get yourself any kind of professional help with your child. It could be dangerous, to be honest with you. It could be dangerous. Now, what happened is, my story is, basically, I had 4 children and 1 child lied. 3 children told the truth. The child who lied was listened to. I spent 4 months in court fighting to get my kids back. All right? So that's what you're up against. They come in, they say they're helping. 4 of them it took for me to get 3 children, a lawyer each, different hearings. I was a self-employed hairdresser who lost my salon. Okay, so I just want to say that straight off, know what you're getting into. They are going to listen to your child, doesn't matter how much you say, but it's just ridiculous, you know, but she's a liar, and they 3 kids, and these 2 adults are saying that, but no, it's going to cost you £4,500, it's going to cost you your business, it's going to cost you everything, right? You woke up in the morning, you didn't realise you had this fight, and it cost you everything, ruined your life, you never get your life back, and I've not seen my 13-year-old daughters for 4 years, okay? Right, so I'd like to tell you a wee bit. Oh, I would like to first of all give you the conclusion. My name's Angela Leach, but on YouTube it's McCready, so it's double C, ends in IE, so you can see how things ended with social work. If you want to go on the YouTube, you don't need it, but you can if you want.
Oh no, I mean...
Susan, I'm not going to come to the park.
I didn't really know what it was.
Things that I think is really important, especially for young women to try to understand, is actually the root of our own subjugation and trying to understand why women have been historically in lesser positions in the first place. And I think we need to look at the sight of the female body as the reason why men have seen opportunity in controlling women, partially to continue the male lineage, but also to control sexuality and the reproduction of workers for capitalism, as well as putting a label of ownership onto female bodies, because that is, of course, a resources that women have that men don't have. And so we need to situate the female body in our understanding of the historical subjugation of women. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to talk about feminism if we don't think about the root cause. And that, I think, is something that is getting lost in the debate of trying to be as accepting and inclusive of every kind of subcategory of woman. And I think that often has the potential of creating and stoking divisions, and we lose sight of the commonality which underlies the diversity. What is the common female experience that crosses borders, nationalities, ethnicities, and that is being subjugated due to the female body, and so I think that's important to remember.
Critical Autistics, and I want to talk about the transitioning of children as the latest in a line of eugenics attacks on our community. In the early 1900s in the UK, the then Home Secretary Winston Churchill called for the sterilisation of feeble minds, which included autistic people, as part of the improvement of the British breed. In the 1940s, Hans Asperger, a paediatrician who had several autistic children in his charge, collaborated with Nazi authorities and referred his child patients for sterilisation under Action T4. My own diagnosis is still called Asperger syndrome. In the late 2000s, groups like Autism Speaks, which have no autistic board members, called for genetic testing and screening to try and eradicate autistic people. So far, several genes have been identified, and we know there is a strong hereditary link. For example, in my case, both my parents are autistic and all my grandparents are autistic, and we're very proud to be so. Which brings me up to today. The Tavistock Centre, the UK's only NHS child gender clinic, has claimed that although autistics are only 1.6% of the general population, they form 35% of child gender clinic referrals, and by a whole 50% have been shown to have some autistic traits. These children are then referred for GnRH agonists known as puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, which render them infertile before they can even freeze gametes or have children of their own, and before they're even old enough to decide about their own fertility. Yet again, the autistics are being bred out, and it's for the people who claim to be progressive who are calling for our sterilisation. So much autistic behaviour is pathologised. We don't fit in with our peer group very easily, we tear off uncomfortable clothing, not because it's gendered, but because it sets off our sensory sensitivities. And we don't understand or absorb gender norms behaviour. It's not because our bodies are wrong, it's because of autistic traits that are just perfectly natural for us, and we have to learn to manage. So to other autistics and parents of autistic children, I want to say, I know it's not easy, but we often look for a quick fix rather than trying to take on the lifelong work of working with our condition and learn to get the best out of it. And I promise there's a lot of good you can get out of it. I'd rather be autistic than not. But the best advice I can give you is to accept and love who you are. We're a proud community that included Isaac Newton, Isaac Asimov, and Emily Dickinson, Temple Grandin, and society would be worse off without us. And to the quacks who try to treat us and sterilise us, you swore to first do no harm. Your colleagues like Sue and Marcus Evans and many of the Tavistock whistleblowers have spoken up for us, and I'm grateful to them. It's not too late to join them. If not, we'll remember you alongside Hans Asperger and Andrew Wakefield, and I hope you'll be struck off like them. Autistics, you know our traits if you're psychologists. We have long memories and a strong sense of right and wrong, and will not stand for another eugenics attack on our community. So please join us with Gender Critical Autistics and stand for us.
Okay, darling, so everyone else meeting you.
What are you doing here today?
Okay, so I came all the way from London up to Edinburgh on the hottest weekend of the year, and I came up. The original idea is Kellie J, Keane and I, as Standing for Women, put up an advert in Waverley Station for J.K. Rowling's birthday, and just saying, I heart J.K. Rowling, and we thought we'd get, we thought that would go up and stay up, but unfortunately, due to complaints, they took it down. So I was here originally just to stand in front of a poster and get other people to do selfies, but that didn't work out. And the other reason I came was to help ForWomen Scotland do a speaker's corner in the original place outside the art gallery at the foot of the Mound in Edinburgh, which used to be, until about the 60s I think, it was a speaker's corner similar to that in Hyde Park in London, but now I don't know why it stopped, but we came here today to sort of revive the tradition of Speaker's Corner. So it would be really great if women came here maybe once a month on a Sunday and talked about all these issues that we can't say on social media. So we just did that now, and I thought it went really well. We had about 15, 20 speakers in total, including all the women who spoke at the end, maybe 15, and we had various people, some academics, a writer, discussing the new hate crime bill, the proposed changes to the Gender Recognition Act, or the Gender Recognition Bill it's called here, isn't it? Yeah, we had quite a big audience of about 100, maybe 100 plus people, and I thought it went really well, and it didn't rain. So that was good, because I was a little bit concerned about the rain. Yeah, it's been great to be here. I've been walking around Edinburgh in my I Heart J.K. Rowling t-shirts, and I've had a few disapproving looks, a few kind of smiley, knowing, happy looks, but I feel that the sort of vibe here in Scotland is a bit like, oh, why are you coming here to create a drama? You know, why do you need to have a drama about it? Maybe I'm misinterpreting that, but it feels like it. But I do think we need to make a drama, because if we don't, women will be rendered meaningless in law, and therefore, if the word woman means anything or nothing, then our rights mean nothing. And yeah, is that right?